Hey everyone, it is Coringian here again, and I just wanted to give you guys a video about what I've been doing and what I plan to do for the next week or so. So to begin with, last video I put out was Monday, and it's been about a week. I believe I spent a couple days just trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. I was working, doing a lot of brainstorming, that kind of thing. Thursday, I started a character that was going to be Penance Brand Trickster. And that is what I intended to do for my third character of the league. However, around level 50 or so, I decided the playstyle was really not for me, and it wasn't going to be worth the investment. I was planning to do disintegration staff and Eternity Shroud setup, and that's always very currency intensive, and if I wasn't going to enjoy the playstyle, then it wasn't going to be worth investing all that money into. So I bailed on that build in the campaign and went looking for another one. Starting Saturday, I found this. I don't know how I found it, but I did. And that is Shockwave Totem with Astral Projector. And this is an interesting little interaction. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a little map for you guys. I've just started doing high reds. So, the build is pretty much in its infancy at this point, so, don't expect too much. Alright, so we've got spell suppression on this, and avoid elements. I think I'm going to avoid that. Alright, this is probably going to kill me. It's a very dangerous map, but whatever. I just want to show you the mechanic of how this is working. The way Shockwave Totem normally works, if I take off Astral Projector. Normally, you put it down, and it's a little AoE around it, They do a little shockwave. Just like that. But then, because it's a Nova, if we put Astral Projector Ring in and I summon it, you see they're casting. It actually has a very far range. You see? It casts, and the AoE happens here. So basically, it turns their little Nova into a ranged ability, like quadrupling its effective distance or more. It's actually really funny. I have actually really enjoyed how this works, because the problem I tend to have with totem builds is just the general directionality of how it works. Like, Freezing Pulse, or even Holy Flame Totem if I wanted to do, one of these Fizz Convert totems like I'm doing here. They just end up with this directionality problem. But Shockwave Totem plus Astral Projector doesn't have that. And I found that to just be rather interesting. As you can see, I mean, it works pretty well. Ice Nova. The build's doing alright. This is fairly budget at this point. I really have not put that much money into it. I've still got a lot of work to do on it, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I plan to scale this into the end game. This build concept of Astral Projector Shockwave Totem is not an unknown quantity. This is something that I did find on PoE Ninja. Once I saw the concept, I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone's doing this. And there are people doing it. This is not, some brand spanking new idea that I've come up with, but I'm still trying to figure out how I want to scale it. Let's go ahead and get out of this map so I don't kill myself. Still trying to figure out how I want to scale it. Right now, we are Hierophant. We take the totem nodes, we take the charges, and we take Arcane Surge here. We're not mana stacking, because I couldn't honestly figure out how to mana stack for totem damage. We are crit, so I've taken the spell crit nodes, and then I guess the big thing here is we're actually full cold convert. So we're getting 40% here, we get 40% from Divergent Shockwave Totem, and then we get the last 20% from our gloves. So we get 100% cold convert for the fizz damage from Shockwave Totem. And then we're running some cold pin, we're running a cold cluster here for some more pin and effectiveness of cold element, which is nice. And then we're just life, and we're going to be looking at Glancing Blows block. Right now, with Tempest Shield and this little block wheel, we're looking at 60% attack block and 58% spell block. I'm intending to get life gain on block eventually with my shield. Right now, this is just a nice shield with +1 summon totems. That's all it is, because +1 totems is really, really strong. But there are +1 totem life gain on block shields out there, and I will be changing into one of those once I want to spend that money on it. Because I was unsure how much fun this character was going to be and whether I wanted to really invest into it. And so, once we get that life gain on block, this should actually feel reasonably tanky. But I noticed something on all the PoE Ninja ones. They really aren't tanky, those builds. And I've figured out why, actually. This build has a very safe playstyle. A couple reasons why. You've got this mastery right here. You can summon your totems and they just taunt right away. When you summon them, basically everything will just whoop, right onto the target that you're wanting to deal damage to. And that taunt is actually really, really, really strong. It keeps you rather safe. The other half, I actually don't have it right now, but there is a medium cluster, and this is a rather expensive combination to get Sleepless Sentries for the onslaught, and then there's a totem node that gives them guaranteed hinder when you summon them for a 30% reduced movement speed. And so this farther increases your ability to kite yourself away from enemies and make sure that your totems are the ones taking the damage. And if you're wondering why all my points are kind of crazy right now, I've got this random strength, and then this jewel that I'm doing nothing with. To be honest, the build, I'm just trying to figure it out right now. I'm going to get another medium cluster because this ancestral reach is really not good. I'm actually having issues with totem tank, and there is a medium cluster node for, I think it's phys damage reduction, resists, and health. It's really good. So I'm probably going to end up running that because the totems have been dying a little too much. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's just crit, phys convert, shockwave totems. Right now we're running Divergent Shockwave Totem for the convert, running Inspiration because the mana cost is actually really, really high. With Inspiration, we're looking at 92. Crit damage, multiple totems, crit strikes, and then Cold Pin right now, because I don't have a ton of Cold Pin yet, though we are running Frostbomb for exposure, this Cold Pin here, and this Cold Pin here, so we may end up dropping that eventually. The chest plate right now is basically just a life and strength and int. I'm going to talk about the stats in a second. Then we're running gloves with just a shit ton of resists and our cold convert. We got a nerve and the hinder on this right now, but eventually I would like to have the cluster for hinder because it's stronger and guaranteed. The wand is just a typical spellcaster wand. Just got cast speed, spell damage, crit chance, and +1 fizz. I'm running a trigger at the moment. Could give me my assassin mark and my frost bomb. It's a little clunkier than I had hoped, so I'm not sure how I'm going to be working with this in the future. Helmet, we just went for a Shockwave Totem cast speed enchant, and then I just crafted it with some life essences. Ended up with this, which I think is actually pretty damn good. It took me like 5 essences. I'm pretty happy with this. And the rarity, it's a good mod these days, so look at that. And actually the strength is going to play into where I hope to scale this build in the future. This amulet is just fixing our decks, and then we got some +1 fizz. This ring just some cast speed and resists. Right now I'm running Calm's Roots. This is pretty much just because I really needed some life while we were a lower level. As you can see, we're still only at about 4,300 at level 84. It's not great. I intend to replace this with a rare set of boots though, eventually. Right now I'm running Cyclopean Coil. This is also pretty much just a placeholder, but I actually, once I put it on, I realized, wait a second, I could actually use this. I'm thinking, for the scaling of this build, I'm going to run the Inquisitor node that gives you crit chance per strength. The reason I'm thinking about going this pseudo stat stacking route is pretty much entirely because we don't have many good uniques to fill these slots. The one I see that's pretty meta, that people use a lot on their chest plate, is actually going to be a Skin of the Lords. It's a very common choice. They run Skin of the Lords and Empower, and they end up with like a level 30 Shockwave Totem. That does seem to be a very, very powerful scaling point for this build, and I may end up going that route once the tank feels good, and I just want more damage. We will see. Right now, I'm intending to use a rare, because there are actually some pretty good implicits. Right now, it's missing, but Hatred Aura Effect is an implicit you can get on a chestplate here, and it's actually very, very strong for this build. Anyway, the reason I'm going to go stat stacking here is look at these resists. I'm ludicrously overcapped right now. I need to fix my Chaos Res, of course, but I mean, this is just absurd how much I am overcapped right now. So there's probably like 4 or 5 suffixes on this gear. You know, keep in mind my boots don't even have resists on them. There's probably 4 or 5 suffixes here that I'm just completely wasting on resists that I can get stats with. And the reason I'm not going to go for like influence bases, you know, Tailwind boots or whatever, I just don't want to put that kind of investment in. And realistically, the Eldritch Implicits are really quite strong. There's even a Fizz is extra cold boot mod, I think. So I'm just going to go with that. And the plan is we just sacrifice a lot of resists, you know, get down to like 80%, 90%, and use all that extra suffix room to stack a lot of strength and int. Right now we're not looking at too much, but the plan, look at like maybe 400, 500. We're not going to go as hard as my last Inquisitor with the Mjolnir. But I want to get a few hundred of each, and I'm going to end up coming down here to Iron Will, most likely. And then we will run the Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh for the Inquisitor crit strike chance per strength in it. That's my plan right now to get crit capped on this build. I actually think it's going to be a pretty decent scaling point for the build, because otherwise I really have nothing I can do with suffixes on a lot of these gear pieces, and it's just going to end up being, you know, kind of a waste because there's really no uniques to work with here. And so that's the plan, I think, for the future of the build. Let's see here. This Timeless Jewel. We're running a Militant Faith. We're running Dominus for Inner Conviction. This works with our 4 power charges. Gets us just a nice 12% more spell damage. It's pretty strong. We're then running area damage and totem damage, so we get, you know, the double damage from this. Double damage mods. And this is probably something like 100 devotion going on here. So we're looking at like 80% increased damage from this, and the 12% more from this. And so that ends up being pretty damn strong. Admittedly, we lose out on a lot of int here. You know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 60 int, which is definitely painful for the crit chance, but I felt that, you know, getting this Inner Conviction ends up being worth it. That may end up not being true in the future, though. Maybe that 60 int is too powerful, and I'll look into it. But right now, this is pretty damn good. Let's see. I think that pretty much covers what's going on with the build right now. Level 84, doing some early mapping. I intend to keep playing this build for a while. I'm going to definitely try and get the damage up. But, in all honesty, I don't think this build is going to push super far. I think that we're looking at, you know, probably a few million DPS once I get the gear that I am comfortable with. As you can see, I'm not super rich right now, so, you know, gotta do with what I have. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fun and mostly mapper. I don't think the bossing is going to be particularly potent, but I think it'll be pretty good. As far as what I intend to do in the future, I'm going to keep playing this character for probably another good few days, and I'll give you guys another update video once I'm finished with it. And then I am looking at the build after this, and right now, just as a teaser, I'm looking at Archmage. And I want to try and make it work these days, because, you know, ever since all the Mana Flask nerfs and that kind of thing, Archmage has kind of fallen off. And I want to see if I can make it work. So I've got a few ideas in my head for some tech to get the mana recovery necessary to make Indigon work in a more, you know, smooth manner. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, just a quick teaser for that. That probably won't be around for about another week or so before I start on that character. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will keep playing this guy and give you another update in the next few days. Have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.